All right, perfect. So we'll get, that up and running. But as far as the lesson for today, let's just recap what we went over yesterday, right? So we can have a refresher before we go in today's lesson. So we talked about access to the network. And if we go into our sections, we have our section 1, computer networking. Now, just to use this packet traveling, because this is what we're learning in week 1, just to use this as a reference, we already talked about day 1, which is what are these devices. So day 2 was all about access. So we have our device, now let's get access to the network so we can start traveling, our packets can start traveling. So we talked a little bit about, no, you can't see that, okay. We just talked about the OSI layer, right? And how we're on the layer 2 of the OSI layers, which is how we're able to understand how data flows in a more, logical sense. So we have our data link, and it's nothing but reading the MAC address from our devices. And our devices that's going to deal with this layer 2 data is switches, right? Hubs, I think they deal with layer 2 as well, but we don't really use them because there's like a repeater. So, I mean, if you're trying to get the CCNA exam, you may want to go in a little bit about the difference of hubs and switches. But just for this video's sake, just know that we're only going to mention switches when we're talking about layer 2 data, okay? Now, we talked about access to the network can either be home or it can be in a business environment. When you're thinking about business, think about VPNs. We also talked about enterprise internet service provider like Bandwidth or like Lumen, right? We also talked about the data that access our network can come in 2 different flavors, data or voice. We have regular data, which is text message, email, going to a website. That's just regular data. And we also have voice data, which is audio. And we must differentiate that so we can ensure that our data transmit where it needs to transmit at a timely fashion, right? And how we do that is by virtual local area networks called VLANs. Okay, and it's virtual, so it's something logical that we just configure on a switch, and we say, hey, this is where the voice traffic will go, and then we put on the switch another command and say, hey, this is where the data will go. So those ones and zeros, once it gets to the cable, it will say, oh, this is tagged as data or an email or whatever, and then this is tagged as some type of audio or a phone call. Okay. How the switches know, where to forward this data is by the MAC address. We talked about the MAC address, right? It comes from the manufacturer. And this is what a MAC address looks like. And that MAC address is part of an Ethernet frame, right? And that MAC address is going to say, the Ethernet frame is going to have the destination MAC address right here and the source MAC address to say, where are you going and who did this data come from? And that's all the switch is going to do on layer 2. It's just forward Ethernet frames, reading MAC addresses, adding MAC addresses to their database because switches have intelligence, especially as technology keep advancing, switches, keep adding new and new features. Before we had switches, we had hubs. Before we had hubs, we had just a long Cat5, or I think it was called thin net or thick net cable that everybody just clamp onto. But as technology kept advancing, we kept getting, a hub and a bridge, and now we have a switch, and they're adding, even more intelligence to switches. But right now, all you need to know is that the intelligence that switch has is to forward Ethernet frames using destination MAC, source MAC. That's kind of like the biggest thing you should kind of remember in this lesson in network access. Okay, just in case you didn't know, local area network. It is just local, just computers that are local to you. We don't need a router. We don't need access outside of we don't need access to the internet. We just need access to, maybe share files with each other or send each other, some type of messaging. But if we do need to communicate with people that's not connected on our network, so the people that are not in your home, the people that are not in the office with you, someone else, maybe someone in Tokyo, maybe someone down the street, I don't know, but you need the internet, and that's where WAN comes in at, to connect two lands so they can talk, okay? That's the bridge to, because everyone is on their own land. We are all on our own lands, right? And how are we all talking to each other? Through a WAN, through an internet service provider, through a whole bunch of routers, okay, and switches. So I told you guys, you know, you should have picked like AWS or Linux. I mean, there was other ones you could have picked, but you know, those two are really like the heavy hitters as far as, you know, ensuring that you get these six-figure jobs, ensuring that, you know, you can, you know, they will pay you for your skill sets. And like we're just going to continue doing, it's just, you know, playing around with it. I want you guys to kind of do that on your own, just to explore. Maybe you don't like AWS. Maybe you're like, I'm not into all this server stuff, right? So just, you know, switch over. You know, again, week one, a little bit of week two, it's really just about finding yourself, finding, you know, what technologies, you know, you can transform with the skills that you kind of already have and the interests that you already have. Like, you don't have to force yourself into a position or into a career. You know, you can make this fun. You can enjoy this. So, you know, use this time to just learn different technologies, different terminologies, and, you know, figure out a path from there. I know some of you guys are, you know, you kind of have your path already, like my cybersecurity folks. And let me just bring that up here. Cybersecurity folks, I did post something. I forgot who said it, but I know, do I have it? Dang, I should have pinned it. Oh, here it is. So basically we have, like, if you want to be an ethical hacker, or, you know, just essentials to cybersecurity, these are some of the topics you kind of want to immerse yourself in, like malware, programming skills, networking skills, which we're learning in week one, and programming skills we're learning in week two. Encryption, that'll probably be like in a couple days. We'll learn a little bit. Especially if you want to be with blockchain, you know, encryption is pretty big. And then threat modeling, it's really just, you know, with malware, think of, you know, Norton or McAfee or something. Threats, you know, think of like, you know, somebody trying to hack you, just like that antivirus. And then, you know, even with here, this was good to learn like Kali. You can learn mobile hacking, Wi-Fi hacking. We'll cover a little bit with Wi-Fi hacking. Password cracking, we'll cover that. I did talk about penetration testing, when you're, you know, tasked to try to break into some software to see how secure it is. Let me see, and web application, a whole bunch of other stuff. I see raised hand. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, quick question. With regards to computer, forgot the name of it, computer machining, basically whenever you're doing like you're testing out how things work. I forgot the terminology that you use to describe that. But is that that we could use for cybersecurity as well, to where we make like systems try to attack us and things like that?
Yeah. When you're talking about cybersecurity, it's all about security. When you think about security, always think of like, you know, somebody walking the parking lot, you know, with their flashlight securing. Like, that's exactly what you're doing in that realm. You're just ensuring that, you know, whatever it is, that it has some type of security. I know a guy who is in cybersecurity, and he's actually specifically only deals with some type of technology with credit cards. You know, like, he's that, you know, granular, and he don't know a lot of the things in cybersecurity, but he is very specialized in like credit card security. So, you know, when you think of like, you know, cybersecurity, think of it like of an umbrella of just securing everything tech, right? Especially, you know, cyber, you know, we want to think it virtually. So, you know, you said something about, you know, testing things or seeing
Yeah.
if, you know, you can basically what we will call penetrate it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is, you know, usually the start. You become like a penetration tester, because, you know, you're kind of like trying to see if you can hack into something. And I know a lot of people who get their start, they learn security, they learn how to hack things, and then they go and they hack these companies, and then they say, hey, I was able to breach, you know, your information. I think that, you know, your database or whatever your backend should be more secure, you know, and that's how you can get like a job, right? Because most of the time, security is like the number one thing, and they're going to spend way more money on security than they need to because, you know, you want to make sure that your business is secure, especially if you're a multi-million-dollar business.
Most definitely.
So, yeah, so if you can go in and just, you know, maybe just mess with their messaging or mess with just something, maybe just got into their Wi-Fi, like that's already like, hey, you
Can
should give me some money.
you is building a virtual machine, can you make a virtual machine like test you on certain things? Basically what I'm asking, like, let's say that, you know, you learn something or you want to learn something about coding. Is that what a virtual machine is about?
Yeah, you can say that. Virtual machine is really the purpose of it is just to not utilize all your resources on your local computer. To be able to you know, have two instances of your computer. So like you say, you do want to test something out. Maybe you want to have a whole nother OS. Maybe I want to try out Mac OS, but I have a Windows. So I would spin up a virtual machine and install Mac software and, you know, play around with that. I don't have to actually go buy a Mac computer or vice versa. Maybe you have a Mac and some things you can only do with Windows software. So you would, you know, spin up a server and, you know, do
Okay.
whatever you need to do for Windows. And then of course, you know, the possibilities are endless with that. You know, that's why in enterprise setting, it's like they will buy maybe 10 servers, 10 switches, or, you know, 10 something, and then they'll just virtualize that to make it 1,000, right? And it's cost effective. So yeah,
Thank you.
I know what that's for. No problem, no problem. So that was day 2 that we talked about. Did anybody have questions on day 2 before we move on to day 3? No? Okay, cool. So day 3, let's talk about IP connectivity. Now, again, our reference, we already talked about accessing the network. So once we want to send that email, it goes right to access to our network, which is the layer 2, the switch. And then the switch is going to look at the MAC address. Who does this belong to? Let's say that who I want to send to is B, and it's not in my local network, which is network A. So that means my switch has to forward the frame to the router to make routing decisions, to make decisions that the switch can't make. And that's what we're going to talk about. It's this layer, routing. So let's go in here where we're at. Where are we at? Okay. And IP connectivity. Like I said, it's layer 3. So we talked about physical. We already know what it takes to, what's the components of a network. And then we just briefly went over when you access the network, what happens? Well, the switch is reading the MAC address to say, where does this data belong? Okay. Now the switch, it may say, well, this is not in my database. So do you know where it's at? And it's going to send it to the router, which is layer 3, the network, and it's going to read the IP address to say, okay, I think I do know where this should go. Okay. Now let's talk more about that. Let's talk more about IP addresses, routers, layer 3, and layer 3 switches. So IP address. Okay, so now the switch has handed it on to the router, and the router's like, okay, I don't read MAC addresses, so let me just tear that off, right? It's going to take a look at the IP address. So the IP address looks like this. You guys have probably seen it before. If not, this is what it looks like. Now, when we're talking about ones and zeros and data being sent through wires, it's being sent through this, like this, ones and zeros. And this, it breaks down into each, I guess, section, right? We call these octets, right? So an IPv4 address, right, which means that it is the 4th version of the Internet Protocol. IP means Internet Protocol. So it's the 4th version of it. And it's 32 bits long, meaning that it's 32 ones and zeros long. And it's broken into 4 octets, as you can see. Let me get my little pen here. Where we at? Okay. Well, I don't know if I can use the pen on this. Let me just see really quick. Hold on, y'all. Because I want to see if I can use my pen. No, it's not gonna let me. Okay, so regardless, These are octets. It's 4 octets, right? Octet, what does that sound like? Sounds like, octagon, which sounds like 8. So we have 8 bits in each octet. 8 times 4 is what? 32, right? That's probably, honestly, the most math you're going to have to do for real, right? Is basic, simple counting, subtraction and adding. Nothing too crazy, right? I know some people think computer science and being a mathematician, all that. You can if you want to get down into like machine learning and stuff, but right here, it's not that much math. So don't get too scared of looking at these ones and zeros, right? It's really fundamental if you understand it from this point here. An IPv4 address is 32 bits. That means there's 32 ones and zeros, okay? Those bits are broken into octets, okay? 8 ones and zeros per octet, okay? Let me see, what's the next one? Okay, yeah, we can talk about, should I bring up the network? Okay, so in this IP address, because I don't want to get too deep and then we're going to start talking about subnetting, and then I don't want you guys your head's going to start spinning if we talk about subnetting. But, at least I want to mention that with an IP address, we have a network side and a host side, meaning that in the beginning of an IP address is where the network is located. So this means that, you're a part of the 192.168.1 network, right? This .1, this ending is your host. It could be, these two could be your host, depending on what's happening. But let's just say with this address, this last octet is a host. A host is like the client, the user, that, individual computer or freaking mobile device, whatever. That is their specific location, okay? So this is your network. Yeah, you're on this network, but to specifically find this MAC address, it's right here, 0.1. And you'll get it, your computer will get assigned 0.1 or maybe 0.2 or maybe 0.3. Like, we'll talk about, IP address assignments later, but at least you can understand what an IPv4 address is and how it breaks down into ones and zeros. Okay. Now, going a little bit more into it, we have IPv6 addresses. Now, IPv6 is the 6th version of the Internet Protocol. So just a little backstory, IPv4 came out, that's the first one that came out, and everyone's living their life using IPv4. And devices keep coming out. We got Alexa, we got printers that use IP4 addresses. So the Internet Task Force, I think it's the IEEE or the ETF, one of them folks, decide to say, hey, we're running out of IPv4 address. We must come up with another protocol. So they came out with IPv6, right? This basically says that we're going to put an IP address, but also include your MAC address. So every single device on the network can have a unique IP address. Because with IPv6, we don't have a unique IP address. We all use, we recycle these. That's where subnetting comes in at, which I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But we recycle these, and the task force feels as though like, no, we shouldn't recycle. Everyone should have their own. Now, IPv6 has been out for some time, but we continue to use IPv4. I don't think IPv4 isn't going anywhere because we have, so many protocols to help recycle and reuse these IP addresses. So, we don't clash into each other or anything in that such. But you will see in the industry IPv6 addresses. As you can see, it is a mouthful, right? It's a lot going on. And then if we talk about the ones and zeros of an IPv6 address, you can just see it's just ridiculous. Like why? Who's reading this, right? And remember, ones and zeros is computer language. So the computer is sending this through the wire. And when we see it, when we decide to say IP config, let me pull that up for you guys. Let's do shell. You can check your IP address by going to IP config. Uh-oh. Do I not know ipconfig command? You can check your IP address. Let me see. Oh, all. I can do all. But I don't even have to ipconfig. There we go. I don't know why I was trying to put that slash there. I've been coding all week, so I probably just think I'm supposed to add backslashes everywhere. Anyway, no excuses. Let's look at here. So ipconfig, you see right here, you go into your terminal. For Windows, you can use PowerShell or command prompt. For Mac, I don't know what you guys use. Y'all use something. But you go into your terminal, and you can say, what is my IP address? And as you can see here, this is my IP address. I don't care about you guys looking at that. And it tells you a whole bunch of other stuff. You can see my IPv6 address. Like, it's ridiculous. Okay. Do you have to know how to read this? If you're on the exam track for CCNA, yes, you will definitely have to know how to read this and how the computer comes up with this address. You will have to know that mechanics, which is in the CCNA course. So no worries. All of that stuff is there. But you see, this is your IPv6, IPv4, this is your subnet mask. Don't worry about that right now. And your default gateway. I have my both V6 and V4 address for my default gateway, which means a way outside of my local area network. So this is the address for me to get to the internet. Okay, it will definitely change because we have protocols like network address translation, aka NAT, which translate our addresses once they hit the gateway. And that's for security purposes as well as reusing IP addresses because this is private. So most likely one of you guys, you can probably pull up ipconfig and you probably got one of these addresses with me because it's local. And you know that by the beginning of an address. It's private, excuse me, not local, private. But you'll know that by the beginning of an address. Again, I'm not gonna go deep into it, but if you are my exam folks, you should know if an address starts with 192 or if an address starts with 255, what's the difference between those? You should know it right off the bat, okay? But we ain't gonna get into that because everybody ain't here for that. But yes, IPv6, the 6th version of the Internet Protocol, we use it. Europe uses it a lot. So if you get, work with overseas a lot, they may, always bring up V6 addresses. But V4 is not going anywhere, you guys. So we can still simply read this. I would hate for help desk to be like, yeah, can you read your V6 address? And then the customer's like, 2, I think that's a O, a 0. And then imagine them reading this like, oh. Like, yeah, no, that is a help desk nightmare. So sorry. Moving on, routing. So we take this IP address, right? Whether it's both of them or one of them, and we route. The router has this intelligence, has this database that collects all the IP addresses, either from a static way or a dynamic way. Either we can tell the router, hey, can you remember these addresses? Or we can say, router, here's a protocol for you to go find addresses on a dynamic way. We have tons of protocols to use. Will we get into that? Probably not. So unless you're in the exam, folks, like I said, definitely go deeper into it, but no need to go into protocols. All you need to know is that, with routing, we have this logic to where it is going to utilize an IP address to send data across different networks, we can call it the internet, right? So it takes a look at it, what's called a routing table, and it says, okay, well, I know these networks, I know where, this data should go, I'm gonna send it to this router. And then this router will say, oh, okay, I know where this data is supposed to go. Like, because the IP address is not gonna change. The MAC address will, right? That's called frame rewriting. Why does the MAC address change? Because the MAC address, it can only go to the next person in line, okay? When you're talking about routers. So the MAC address will change here because, we're really just trying to get to the router so the router can open up tear that packet apart, take that router, that MAC address off and look at the IP only to say, where exactly do I need to go? So it's like, I went to, Texas, but what city should I be in, right? And then once I know the city, once I know the router, what street should I be in? What county should I be in? So the router is going to make that, specific decision to say, okay, this is where you go for whoever, for Emily's computer. I don't know, whatever data you want to send, even if it's just packets to what I'm showing, which is, through the Zoom, right? But let's go in a little bit more on these routing tables, right? So with these routing tables, it's something that, a couple commands you'll put. I think it's like show routing table command or show route table, something like that. You'll go into that and you'll pull up, you'll see something similar to this, may have more information like VLAN information and, stuff like that, but at least it tells you what interface, it tells you the destination, the next hop, and the interface. So for an example, we have router A. Is this router's A routing table? Yes. So router A, how do I know this is router A? I don't know. Let's just call it middle router. So this middle router here, you see it has these, logical cables is what we're going to call it, because physically in, real life, they're probably not connected in this type of way, right? Like this is not me and then you're connected to me and then she's connected to me. It's probably not, it's going to be thousands of routers in between this. But for, simplicity, we're going to do this right here as far as, connecting it in a logical way. Now we connect these are our interfaces, right? So it's our interface. Now we will call it GE, G0 or FE, FA. G is gigabyte, E is Ethernet, right? And they're based off of their speeds. So if it's just the Ethernet, if it's just E or FE, I think it's fast Ethernet or FA, one of those. If it's just something like that, then you know that this interface is kind of slow. But if we have a giga port, a giga interface, then it's a little faster because gigabits faster. But that's kind of just a little tidbit on how to read when they have interfaces, right? They'll have different letters, but the letters mean the speed of the interface. And the interface is just a fancy way of saying a port, right? It's just when you look in the back of your router and you see all those ports you could plug into like a telephone cable, that's what we're calling an interface. It's just, that simple. But this drawing is logical. I just want you guys to understand that part. Okay, cool. So we have our interfaces, and our interfaces always have to have a IP address connect to it. So as you can see, these interfaces have assigned IP addresses. Oh, this is router A, that's why I know. Anyway, so they have assigned, IP addresses. Now this router right here will have a routing table of all the IP addresses that it knows of. And again, that could be statically, that could say, hey, this is the interface that or it's dynamic. Let's just say it's dynamic, know all the IPs that you're attached to. So it will know, guess what? It will know B, C, and D and its own. And you can see here in the routing table, it shows that. We have this routing table says, I know the destination to 10.11.0.0, right? So if we do 10.11, we can see that, the next hop will be 10.1.1.2. What does next hop mean? So if this is my destination and the next hop, the next, train where I need to send this data to the next router in line is 10.1.1.2. So all we gotta do is look for where's 10.1.1.2 right here. This is our next hop. So from this router, they're gonna say, hey, you wanna go to this destination, 10.11.0.0? Oh, I know where to go. It's right here, the next hop, the next train, the next stop, the next router is 10.1.1.2. And as you can see it here. And then once the data goes to this router, guess what? It now has access to the destination that it wanted to go to. So that's what the router logic does. So instead of MAC addresses, just, doing it, the router deals with IP addresses. And it literally is going to learn the IP addresses that is, connected to, however we may specify that, because we are the architects, we are the engineers, and it's going to populate a table of what they know, of the routes they know, right? And these are the routes they know. They say, hey, if you want to go to 1011 or 1012 or 1013, I know where to go. This is who I'm connected to, and this is the interface you're going to use. So if I want to go to 10.11, I have to use 10.1.1.2. Okay, and that's out of this interface. 1 gigaport 1.0 or /0/0. So where would that find that interface? They would find it right here, and it would be switched, right? This, again, this happens in seconds, right? This is the computer, this is the router, and this router has already pre-configured intelligence, right? So it already comes with some type of intelligence to be able to switch traffic, route traffic. But you have to give it protocols. You have to configure this router, right, in a way that you want it to be for your network, because everybody's network is different. And you know, at whatever job may be at Vanguard, you may be able to access Facebook on your VPN, but at AT&T, you can't, as an employee, you can't access Facebook, right? So these will be certain protocols that we would use, that we would configure on a router to do whatever, you know, saying, to grab and block whatever traffic we wanted to, you know. So if we don't want it to learn certain addresses, we will omit that. We'll put that in a configuration. Right now, you know, these configurations are pretty simple, you know. I mean, of course I say that, but they really are. It's really like, you know, you Google some things, like that's how you see how I just Google IP config. Let's do not my local address. I guess router commands, you know, because I don't want to show you guys anything too crazy. For Cisco, basic router commands. So as you can see, you know, if you pull up a router, you'll get some information like this. It'll say router with a £. You can put in a command like show version, and it will pop up all of what's, you know, the version of what's on the router. So I usually don't read none of this, you know, but it has some really good information. You know, tells you what's happening, what version and stuff. Unless I'm troubleshooting and I'm like, man, maybe this router's the issue, then I'll probably look at this, which is rarely the case. So I just skip over that. It's some stuff that I just really just skip over. It's just certain things I just know what to look at. So even right here, we have router A, and let's say we do a command, you know, just how we did IP config, we'll do a command called show interface serial 0. Or in our case, it was like, you know, gigaport 10/0, whatever. We'll just type whatever the interface is. And they'll give us all the information of the interface. It'll tell us how much packets was sent, how many packets were dropped, how many errors were found, you know, total input errors, the frame, how big the frame was, the Ethernet frame, you know, abort, any missions that they had to abort. You know, it tells you a lot. And this is, you know, when we're talking about troubleshooting, because you may get something that's as simple, well, you know, I say that lightly, simple as, you know, I can't make phone calls. And it may be a whole department that not even can make phone calls. They could just, every time they make a phone call, it's jittery or something. Or when they get on their Zooms or their WebEx meetings or their team meetings, it's, you know, lag and they can't really hear, whatever the case may be. It's just internet network issues. Obviously, we're gonna, you know, make sure nothing is wrong with their device. But ultimately, as the engineers, we're gonna come in and look at this stuff and be like, okay, so what's happening? Why is the package getting to you in a jittery way? Like, why are you having this issue? For me, most of the time, it's something to do with like packet filtering. So I usually have to get the security team involved and be like, hey, I think you have some ports that are, you know, need to be opened because this software needs, you know, port whatever, you know, port 53 for, you know, DNS open. So can you open that, please? And whatever, you know, so that's usually the case. Let's see. And that's really it as far as like, you know, just showing you what it kind of looks like on a router, you know. This is kind of what the output looks like. And it is kind of like, a little outdated as far as, how it is, but that's just the back end, right? A lot of times people are moving over to what's called a GUI, which is a graphic user interface. And it's something more like, plug and play, where you can click yes, click save, click show interface, click these buttons instead of going through something that, I don't have my shell up, but going through something that looks like this, something like you're in a matrix or something. So if you have the ability, the skill sets to know the terminal, that's why I say, do Linux so much, because a lot of people don't want to, be in the command line. I don't know why, I love the command line. It's easy to grab information. Is it all? Yeah, all. It's easy to grab information and just read it. Like, I get the clicks, yes, save here and there. That's all good and dandy, but I feel like it takes away. But again, it's easier, so we're moving into a realm of automation. So a lot of network engineers are still, at risk for their jobs, because now we can automate tasks that, would take an engineer, they would have to do this adding and re-adding and editing things. And we could just create a Python script to just do that really quick. So we don't need that position, right? So it's important to be well-versed in technologies to where you can fix the computer, fix the automation if it goes down, right? Which we will talk about, because it's important to have automation skills, at least at a basic bare minimum, right? But moving along here, our data packet, we talked about it. It's right here. You see this blue where my cursor is at. So we already talked about the destination MAC and the source MAC. So once it gets to the router's going to rip this off and say, we don't need this BS. What's going on here? And they're going to say, oh, this is where you want to go? Okay. And what the router's going to do is put this frame back on, but change the destination MAC and the source MAC. It's going to change the destination MAC to the next hop, which is the next router. And the source MAC is going to be its own. Why? Because the next hop, the next device in line, needs to know where did this come from, not where it originated from, because that's where the IP addresses are at. The IP address is host, as you can see, and the source, the destination is this one, the server, and the source is, who's the original source of sending this meme of Kanye is here, the host, who's sending it to the server because they want to save it for later posting, right? So that will never change, because this is the ultimate destination. This is the street number, but this source MAC and this destination MAC will definitely change. It will get ripped off. The router will read this IP. Oh, I know where to go. And then put this frame back on and change its MAC, right? Because the next hop needs to be like, okay, this came from the router. Let me take this off. Where you want me to go? Oh, okay, you want me to go here? All right, let me rebuild this frame, put my source MAC, because I'm about to send it, and I'm about to send it to whoever's next in line. That's the only intelligence that layer 2 has. So it's important to understand that, okay? And if you want to go outside to the internet, you have to use an IP address. It's very important to remember that, okay? And of course, user data. And of course, the trailer, which is, I don't know why it says trailer. It's for CRC frame check. What is it? CRC errors. You see right here, it's for errors. How many errors did they find on this packet? That's what this is. And then, this is the whole frame. Okay, so frame is layer 2, packet is layer 3. So what I want you guys to do is, get immersed in this terminology, because on your job, they're going to teach you whatever they're going to teach you. So you need to at least be able to nail the interview. And how you nail the interview is by spewing out these terms, right? Of course, you're not going to be able to go down and break down a frame, but you can at least be like, oh yeah, frame, layer 2 technology, or, something about layer 2 or something with switch. Or if you can put those two in a sentence, then you can just deflect and go to the next topic, right? If you could be like, oh yeah, frame is for this and the pack is for that, and then just, deflect, go to another topic. Like they okay with that as long as you can, so you have that basic knowledge, because most people don't, even people with computer science degrees, like they still can't correlate this. Why? I don't know. But we're not here to talk about them. Moving on, our homework. So for my exam people, definitely review section 3, because it's all about IPs, it's all about routing. It goes a little deeper into router logic. It goes deeper into algorithms. So definitely take a look at that. If you are not taking the exam, which I updated this, so I don't know why this is showing how this is showing. Let me see what I said for some more homework, because I updated this slide, but clearly I didn't, IP connectivity, I didn't download and replace it. So let's say we have find your IP4 IP6 address, which you guys should already know how to find it. I just showed you right here. So play around on your end and find it. You can even, if you are the ones to build a virtual machine, find that virtual machine address, like do the same instance. Play around with addresses too. But regardless, find your IP. It's good to just put your hands on it. If you've never been in a terminal, this is like your first thing you can do at least is run IP config commands, right? So outside of that, AWS, AWS, let me get this. I want to get you guys this link. Control copy. So for my AWS folks, I want you guys to take a look at IPFS. It's kind of goes in tandem with AWS. I think that let me just take out blockchain. Maybe it'll give me, no, it gives me the same information. So yes, it's basically decentralized. So you can definitely, go through down that path if you're more blockchain centric when you're, dealing with AWS, as well as Filecoin, right? And I bring these two technologies up because, again, I can only teach you guys from my level of knowledge. So AWS, I dealt with it in my job. I also dealt with it with my business clients and helping them with their technology and their services. So with me using that and me incorporating blockchain features into their business, I am learning about IPFS and Filecoin, which is kind of a alternative to, I wouldn't say alternative to AWS, but it's making its way there, right? It works in tandem, but it's also a decentralized way for us to, store files and share files. Because what is AWS is still, centralized, like it's not a decentralized technology. So how can we fully immerse ourselves in decentralization, right? We need somewhere where we can not only, we have the app, we have our apps where we, money or do whatever we want to do with it. But what about, just regular like databases, like just regular, like the architecture of it. So AWS, definitely look at IPS and Filecoin. Oh, IPS versus Filecoin. So yeah, you can definitely do these two. Filecoin, it's like, I would look at it as like FileZilla and stuff. But regardless, they're two, open protocols. So I would say get immersed in it. For my Linux folks, if you are into blockchain, because I know a lot of you guys are on the blockchain. Actually, let me go to this. And I suggest you guys start off with the Hyperledger Ledger Fabric. It goes in tandem with Linux. So it's kind of like you're learning, both at one time. Come here, I'm going to drop this in the bootcamp channel. So you can kind of, start here, right? And this is what I would say, because I know that it tells you, to get started, this is what you need. And you're probably like, what the hell is a Docker and all this stuff. I would say you should probably just Google what's Docker, right? And probably just look at a 2-minute, 5-minute YouTube video on Docker, right? Maybe you don't understand like what fabric means, right? You can definitely just Google that, right? Just Google these little words to make the sentence, come together for you so you can kind of know how to move forward, because that's what you're going to do in the field. You're going to be pushed into a situation where you know nothing about, but because you have the foundational knowledge, you need to figure it out. And it's nothing but reading and Googling. Like I Google my whole 3 years I've been Googling. Yes, I know this information as far as, being able to regurgitate it. But when I go out there and they say, hey, can you, like, if I was at work and it was like, yeah, can you check the interface and see if it's up? Because I don't know that there's packets coming through to this router. I'm gonna have to Google that. I'm like, what's the commands to check to see if the interface is up? And I'm gonna use that. And usually it's some type of step-by-step guide. And I'm just gonna follow those steps. And then, I mean, what? It's not like somebody's watching me like, are you Googling the steps? Like, I think they expect me to Google. So that has helped me with my success. So I'm just going to tell y'all to do the same thing. Google, right? You should be like an expert at Googling, right? And it's not even just like you Googling something and then, oh, that's the answer. You still have to know how to filter information. And that's where the foundational knowledge come in at. If you already know, like, that, frame equals layer 2, packets equal layer 3, a V6 is, a whole bunch of hexadecimals and stuff, but a V4 IP address is, 4 octets and stuff. As long as you know, like, real, like, foundational knowledge, then everything else makes sense. Everything else is like, oh, okay. Okay, so you may not know what DNS is, but once you see that DNS, is, connects to the IP address, then you kind of understand that, oh, it must be an internet protocol, which it is. And then you can go down and be like, okay, so it deals with routers, which you do. So, you just keep going down that path. So I think I really want you guys to understand this. You don't have to know all of this. You have to know where the find is, and it's on Google. It's on Google. But yeah, so start here, y'all. For my Linux blockchain people, Hyperledger Fabric is a good place to just pick up and start going for the remainder of this course. At least to get you started with it, right? AWS, we have our Filecoin and our IPS. That's just, other technologies that you can, understand. When you see these words or these terms, IPFS or Filecoin, you're not like, what are you talking about? You can kind of get a, understanding of, oh, they're talking about, a decentralized way of sharing files. Oh, okay, or storing files. Oh, okay, cool. Because we want to add these to our resume. Like, you should be picking up these technologies, okay? And that was it. That's all I had. AWS folks and Linux folks, and then, find your IP addresses. Because we're going to get more in the terminal as the week progresses. That's really all I had, really. Anybody have any questions? I think I see a question. Is it possible to retain all the info because it's constantly changing? We got to learn to know what questions to ask them. No, I totally understand you, right? So this course, that's why I keep expressing, like, this is for you to find your path, right? Because if this interests you, if you're like, dang, I do want to know more about packet traveling and networking, then you go over to that CCNA course, right? And you start digging deep, because that's very specific. But if you don't care to be a network engineer, a network architect, or even just really go deep into networking, then don't bother. Just really take notes on the foundation of it, which is you should be able to answer, what is a network? So if someone to actually, like, what's a computer network, or what's a network? You should come up with, something in this slides, like, yeah, LAN, WAN, Ethernet cables. I don't know. You need to just start saying some things. And this is what I'm giving you, some things to talk to. Because most of you guys are blockchain centric. Most of you guys are coder centric. So we haven't got to those parts yet. this is really just foundational, because when we send the code, when we're sending it to each other, and we're troubleshooting, we have to use this knowledge when we're troubleshooting, even if you're not in the networking department. Maybe you're in tech sales, maybe you sell different types of routers and switches, or you just sell technology. It could be software, and you're having issues. Like, it's nothing to be like, okay, well, instead of just being like, oh, I can't do anything, or, my work is this, or whatever the case may be, you can solve your own issues. And that knowledge right there, you can take that and literally solve other issues in your life, right? Because it's really like, it syncs up like that. Believe it or not, there's a lot of things that you can apply this foundational knowledge to outside of just networking, right? So that's kind of why I condensed it to where if you actually, this actually interests you, MAC addressing and IP addressing, then, head over to that free course, because, we get busy in there. But right now, just find yourself oh, okay, that sounds cool. If it don't interest you that much, then shoot, move on. That's why I say, maybe you want to do AWS or Linux or what did I say? VMware or Oracle, like pick something for you to just play around with, right? Because we want to get skills from this. Like, this whole boot camp, I want every single day you to learn something that you've never learned before, that you didn't know before, right? So with that, the best thing I know is for you guys to, Google a technology that you've never heard before and create an account and download something and, play around with something. So you can be like, oh, I know what that do, right? Like, we just want to keep building our knowledge base. That's really it. This is, oh, well, yes, thank you. Again, we're building upon each other. We're definitely compounding. It definitely seems like a lot. Please, you guys, do not get overwhelmed, okay? If this is not your path, if you're not taking the CCNA exam, you really should not be overwhelmed. We're just going over some basic things that happened, since MySpace days, right? And you're gonna keep going over this. We're gonna keep talking about this over and over and over again, right? It's just, we're going to keep adding in more information. So you guys probably will really start like finding what you want when we get to automating the network. We'll start playing with APIs, start downloading software to create our own APIs, right? So we can start doing what we want. You'll probably, HTML, CSS, you'll probably start liking when we get to probably software development, because HTML, CSS, that's just, foundational as well. But JavaScript, you'll probably really get interested in that. Python, you guys will probably definitely love Python. We're going to do some web scraping. We're going to, automate stuff. So, you probably can go into a job and be like, I can just automate this task real quick. You could automate some stuff that you're doing right now, right? So that's what you're going to learn. Put that on your resume. Database, MySQL, Kotlin, that's for Android. So we're going to actually download a software called My Android Studio, use Kotlin to code out our own Android app, right? I think we can do it on an Apple too, which is Swift. I got to see if we can do both of them from My Android Studio, but you definitely can just plug up your computer, plug up your phone to your computer, and we can literally transfer our app. And we could just build it. We're not going to put on no app store, no Android store, nothing like that. That's why I said plug your phone into your computer with some type of cable, because we want to be able to transfer our app to our phone and then be able to play with it. So we'll do that. And yes, it will take 1 hour. And then sketches, for our coders who want to be in development and talk to clients. You can use Sketch, and I think there's another one called Fin something or Fetch or something, I forgot, Figs or something, to where you basically are showing what the app will look like or what your code will look like. So you don't necessarily have to, code anything out before you get paid for it. And I think this is more kind of what you will use if you kind of freelance, possibly. And then GitHub source code, where we can collaborate together. So if I wanted you guys to work on my code, I can put it up on GitHub and we can share and work on it. This is another place, GitHub is another place where you will go to work on open source projects like Bitcoin or, Ethereum or, well, I wouldn't say Bitcoin because ain't nobody really messing with them, but like, just any other open source projects on blockchain. Most of the code is on GitHub and you can, contribute to it. And you can literally put that on your resume and say, I contribute to an open source project. And they're gonna be like, well, dang, that's some good stuff. Because people love when you, contribute to that type of stuff on GitHub. You're gonna get a job in no time, right? And that's really it. Let me see what week 3 is. Oh, projects. Yes, we're going to just a whole week of just doing nothing but project stuff that we are going to add on our resume. We have worked with it, tangible, and it's on our resume. We can speak to it. We can say, hey, that's what we did. So maybe, maybe it's from this week, maybe AWS, y'all been building servers. You probably did something with the blockchain. I don't know, y'all probably went crazy. So put that on your resume. Maybe you want to tech write. Even if you don't, a nice tech writing piece will still go look good on your resume. And I can show you how to hyperlink that on your resume to make it all pretty and interactive. A payment app, that can take like an hour. We could just code out a payment app really quick and boom, put that on your resume. Project management as well. Web scraping, we gonna do that week 2. So boom, that's gonna be on everyone's resume. Marketing and sales. Maybe y'all don't really care to be like coders or something. Maybe you're like, I think I want to just market and sell technology and, marketing. When you say market tech in tech, you can think of like social media manager. You could think of, running Google Ads, a Google Ads manager, so many other things, so many realms in marketing. You don't have to be a coder or, in security. And then personality tests. I think with all of this tech, we should take personality tests to see, that may be first. I should probably change that. To see like, are you guys, what's your personality? Like maybe, you say you're an introvert, but you're really not. You're just selective with who you talk to, right? So, we want to take this personality test, really get a sense of our personality so we can kind of put ourselves in position to where we're not going to fail because we're just forcing something. And, if you're really a person who really don't do well in client-facing roles, then UI, UX designer, or social media manager probably wouldn't be your thing, right? If you really just sit at the computer and work all day, you barely have friends, not saying that that's wrong, but let's just say like you don't do anything like me, then, then maybe software development is good for you because coding takes hours. And most of the time, your friends are either coders or you have no friends. So, but yeah, and then we'll just keep going. This may change. It's going to be a little dynamic. But what we definitely going to do is talk to some recruiters. I got at least 2 recruiters that's ready to talk to you guys. But I need to at least give y'all some type of foundational knowledge before they start telling you what positions they got for y'all, and you may or may not like those positions. I'm not guaranteeing anything. All I'm saying is I have some resources. Here you guys go. So yeah, I'm done. Are you guys done? Do anybody got any more questions? Kind of went over time, but that's still okay. I'll keep this whole recording. I won't even have to edit this really. I'm just going to upload it straight up. And yeah, I need to fix it. Let me email. Let me just put this app because I don't know what's going on. But yeah, and then if I can't get this fixed by tonight, then I'll find an alternative to put the videos if it's not working for everyone. We'll see. Maybe I can put because my last course, I did that in YouTube. I put the videos on YouTube, but I unlisted it and I just gave you guys the link. And that was like almost like last year. And I found out like 2 months ago that everybody's watching those videos. Like those videos are not as private as I put them. And yeah, I mean, that was a free course, so I didn't mind, but I really don't want these, videos to just be all over the internet. Let me see, please let us, yeah, we need a particular type of cord to connect our phones. Maybe, I don't know yet. We're gonna have to get there and see. It's been a minute, so I don't know if they probably did something different where you could just download the app. Send the app to yourself, send the file to yourself, something. But if not, yeah, you probably would need, if you got like an iPhone, probably need some type of hub, unless your computer has that type of port. Or if you have an Android, maybe you can use a USB port. I have a Samsung device, so I have a type of like a connector because I don't have USB ports or anything, which is lame. Like why would I buy a computer without any ports? Yeah, I'm gonna get another computer. Anyway, yeah. Oh, Team Android? Yeah, no. Team Android is nice. Team Apple is nice. I mean, Apple is good for people who's not technically inclined. Android is good for the folks who just, want to do more with their phone than just call and text. So I'm with you. Android is better, you know. Apple is actually not a technology company, it's a lifestyle company. They sell a lifestyle. So if you kind of can see their technology, it's never what's latest, what's out. Android always has the latest technology. And it's like, why, if Apple's so popular, you would think they would be able to do, the most update things, but it's a lifestyle. Having an Apple shows that you are what, rich, I guess. I don't know what the sentiment is, that you're cool. But yeah, you said USB-C. Oh, question about JavaScript. Yes, what's your question? Y'all could unmute, we could just have
okay.
a
So quick question. So the path that I'm looking to take is doing the CCT and CCNA, along with learning blockchain. And that's because I just want to learn how computers talk to each other. I feel like that's a good base for anything. And when it comes to learning blockchain and getting into Solidity and stuff, it looks like JavaScript is also good to pair with that. How do you feel about freecodecamp.org and using that to learn JavaScript?
Oh, that's good. I definitely used them before. I think I probably have like a link in here or probably somewhere else. But yeah, they're good. They definitely tell you the basics. I mean, once you understand the basics, like that's kind of why I have, let me go back here. That's kind of why I have JavaScript first here in our software development, because once you kind of understand the basics of JavaScript, which is the syntax in its whole, like what a function is, what a variable is, and what's a Boolean and conditional statements. Once you understand that, it's kind of the same way in like Python or in Solidity. So, knowing JavaScript, you don't even have to go to the basics of Python and Solidity. You kind of just can jump right into it and start coding. So I would say definitely start with the basics. If you're on Free Code Academy, go through their free course, their lessons, and you should be good to go. I have a course that I'm going to show you guys. Well, I'm going to add you guys to it. It's kind of give you the same information. It's just literally foundational. So definitely once you finish, we're having your JavaScript knowledge, then you're good to go with like, blockchain.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
Yeah. What do you want to do with blockchain specifically?
That's a good question. Well, I guess my answer right now would be just to, this might be a bad answer, but just getting online and looking at jobs and seeing what's available and learning the basics of blockchain, and based off the job that's being offered, once you read like what the job is about, just using my critical thinking skills and finding out where I could insert myself in there and figure out how I could bring my skills to that company and help them out with that position. I don't know. That sounds very confusing. I don't know, because there's just so many areas of blockchain to go into.
Exactly,
So I
it
figured
is.
if I learned JavaScript and Solidity and Hard Hat, that will help me create dApps.
So that's what I was going to ask. Outside of like looking at jobs, looking at the pay, looking at everything else, what do you want to contribute to the blockchain space? Like, what do you want to put out there with your name on it? Like, do you want to put a dApp out there? Do you want to put a coin out there? Do you want to put a protocol? Do you want to put marketing? Like what, you know what I'm saying? What's your role? What role do you want to have just being in blockchain? You know?
Honestly, I can answer that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I know my role. Number one, get all the thorough knowledge about it. Number two, utilize my skills to strengthen my personal position, my family and very close friends in blockchain and cryptocurrency. And number three, focus on developing businesses because the whole world is going to be blockchain. One of the biggest is the financial space, obviously, but you're going to have like universities, schools, hospitals, etc., and nobody's going to be using blockchain. They're going to be like, well, blockchain is what? And there's going to be a huge demand for just implementing blockchain. So that's where I see a real opportunity.
Exactly.
In developing that.
Definitely, definitely. Well, you know, you mentioned a lot of things with finance, blockchain, technology. So it seemed like your path is more in the DeFi space, you know, something with, you know, decentralized finance, whether, you know, you are dealing with maybe security, you are, you know, securing the network, or you're bringing something into, you know, just something dealing with finance and dealing with decentralization.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah, that's what it's about.
But initially, I just want to be able to work remote, and like when you started, stabilize your life, get some money coming in, and then start masterminding that. You know, take advantage of that DeFi space, make some gaps, or you know, something that'll really help people in the process. Because at the end of the day, you know, especially in the urban environment, a lot of people are going to be left behind. And it's an opportunity to help people, but at the same time, you can make bank in the process of helping people. So.
Exactly, exactly. You'll learn all of that. So that's why the foundational knowledge is here. So you can at least get some more money, a higher paying job, and start doing what you really want to do. But yeah, so yeah, Elle, I ain't forget about you. Yeah, what do you want to contribute to the space?
That's a difficult question for me to answer. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I just want to get into a position and learn something, like learn the job and like just kind of go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's just a very difficult question to answer. I've taken courses on Hyperledger. So I learned about all the different Hyperledgers that are out there. Hyperledger, the open source, decentralized thing seems really, really interesting. But it also seems very, very complex. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I've also gotten a certification and also with the DeFi. So decentralized finance, having a background as being an options trader. I know that will showcase to employers my genuine interest in just understanding the markets and financing and investments and people's mentality behind investing. And so DeFi could be a way. Yeah, this question gave me so much anxiety.
Yes, no worries. And I think it's because blockchain is just like the word network, like it encompasses everything. And,
Right.
you know, when you get into it, it's so many paths you can take. So when I first became a network engineer, you know, my title is just network engineer. But I took the CCNA and I literally had to learn a little bit of everybody's position in the networking department. And then when I got my first job, it was like, oh, so I don't have to utilize all of these skills, like all this knowledge I don't have to put, like I can only, you know what I'm saying? If I'm only for data, I only use data. If I'm only for voice, if I'm only for security, there's even a wireless department, you know, that only deals with wireless technology. Like they don't even care about anything else but Wi-Fi, you know? So it's so many little granular things you can do, and even just automating the network. Right. So with blockchain, it's kind of the same thing as a network. Like, what space do you want? Are you looking more like an architect? Am I trying to, or let's just start with layer one. Are you trying to get these devices together? Like maybe you want to be in like mining, right? Some type of, you know, something like that. And then maybe layer two, you want to get access to the network. So maybe you want to think about, you know, like you said, building dApps or something with user interface, or, you know, something with, you know, connecting people into the blockchain network, right? Some API that way or something. And then IP, then IP services, all right? You may be into, I don't know, actually being an engineer in the space to be like, okay, I'm going to utilize my resources for consensus, or maybe you are developing a protocol or something. Security is big too, because, there's a lot of places that still get hacked, right? I don't know if you guys heard about the DAO, right? The big DAO, they got hacked, and that was the biggest thing. They raised like, millions of dollars and got hacked for all of that. And I don't think they know who that was. So it's like, dang, how can something on blockchain get hacked? So we still need a layer of security. So we need you guys to learn security and be able to, develop those algorithms that are stronger and develop more type of algorithms outside of, we'll learn it, but you'll learn about, the SHA-256. That's an algorithm, the most current algorithm. And, if you can build something better than that, not saying, not putting too much pressure, but I'm just saying as you learn more, the space is so new, the sky is, beyond the limit, like, so it's right now, just grasp the knowledge. Grasp the knowledge, get into a 100K job, and then funnel that money into gas fees. That's what I'm gonna say. Funnel it into gas fees, because gas is expensive. I don't know if you guys have been really interacting with blockchain and building on blockchain, but I'm up a couple thousand.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I don't even know
Ethereum
what gas
fees
fees, what
suck.
is that?
Oh, they suck. Yeah, the gas fees suck.
Yeah, you got to pay gas fees to interact with anything on the blockchain. So, especially, so I've been learning about times. So sometimes I stay up really late, like 2, 3 in the morning, so I can, do certain projects on the blockchain, because gas is usually very cheap. Sometimes it's like $20 a transaction. But if I like right now, if I was to do something, well, 6:30 is a little, I would probably say like 4:30 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh, them gas fees gonna be like $700 per transaction.
But weekends gas fees are low too.
Oh, you said what? Which gas fees?
On weekends, the gas fees are pretty low, I found. Only reason why I know this is because I'm in a DApp called, I don't know if y'all heard of the Drip Network or not, but with Drip, it's a really cool DeFi app. You get paid 1% a day of whatever you put into it, and it's great. But the drawback is it's based off of the BSC coin, and you have to pay, that gas. Fortunately, it's not as much as Ethereum, but here again, there's the gas. So
yes, Ethereum is expensive, but there's other protocols like Tron, Polkadot, that even Uniswap that are kind of low. So I don't know what Ethereum on, but yeah, gas is kicking my butt. All right. So I just slowly do like blockchain, I slowly do stuff because, I don't have money to be like that, and, I do want to have fun with my money. Like, dang, I'm just spending it all on dang blockchain. But it's building my knowledge. So it's not like all bad, right? You have to invest in ourselves. You got to invest in our knowledge. So I'm not taking nothing from that. It's just dang gas fees. But yeah. So anything else? I missed something? No? Let me see the chat. Very true. Apple's organized. Android got the latest of everything. Yeah. Android, boo. But yeah, that's really my rant, y'all. It seems like most of us is on the same path. We trying to, contribute to the blockchain space. I don't have it all together. Don't think that I'm have my path straight and narrow. I'm still debating on if I should still go with my CCNP or just, continue with my blockchain cert. I don't know. I'm thinking of maybe getting a second, job, because I don't really do nothing on my first job, and, stacking my money, because like I said, blockchain is expensive. So I need some money. So I figured get another job and funnel that. So maybe I should get my CCNP and I could just, get a job that's like 250K. That would be love. And then boom, I can go back into blockchain, right? Or even I could just get like 100K job. Like I ain't even gonna get crazy. And I don't even know why I'm lowballing myself, but I
Go
don't
for
want
the moon.
yeah, but I don't want a lot of responsibilities. When they give you you know, that money, they put you into a senior position. And I don't care to check up on anybody. And I don't care to do all that because I run a business. Like, I ain't got time to be in y'all business that heavy. I can help with tickets and I can get into, you know, when code red hits, I can hop in and fix it, no problem. But I'm not gonna be managing no team, even for 100,000, you know? Like, my job right now, I give my staff agency money for putting me in this job, but I do nothing. And it's like 120, literally, you know, I don't even clock in on time. Just, you know, go to work when I'm done trading, whenever that may be. And then answer a few questions, say hey to some folks, just so they know that I am present, because, you know, can't be ghost for real. And then, yeah, like, you know, it's
Yeah,
it's
I'm
cake.
sorry to cut you off, but you like when you said you're put in a senior position, but you don't care to, you know, like micromanage people and be all in people's business and making sure. That's why I couldn't answer your question earlier about what path I'm actually trying to take, because I'm not trying to be a supervisor or anything like that. Like, I just want to learn information and go share the information so that people can do their jobs properly or make the change and switch over to blockchain and understand what's going on. That's all I want to do. And then go on about my business. Like, so I'm
Mhm.
not sure which career path I want to take just yet.
But you know what that sound like? That sound like tech writing. Sound like what you want to do is learn it from a technical perspective and then regurgitate it in a simple, easy to understand way so that user can be like, hey, I know how to use whatever blockchain feature it is. I know how to use it because, you know, you were the technical writer of it. It's basically just writing instructions. You know, it's really like technical writing, which I do a little bit at my job, but you really don't, you know, you're not in charge of anybody, no senior position. It's just, hey, here's a project. I need you to do it, you know, and it's really just educating people. That's really what tech writing is. Like, I'm going to educate people who don't know how to do something. And this can be as simple as how to log in to a D app, you know, because a lot of people's like, how do I log into a D app? Well, you got to connect your wallet. Do you have a MetaMask wallet or a Coinbase wallet? Some people don't even know the difference between Coinbase and Coinbase wallet, you know? So just creating a technical documentation like that, just outlining what's the difference and how you can use each, that's literally a job that pays you $100,000 a year.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
And you might just be right about that because like my
You
previous
gonna make a killing.
before I tried to hop into like entrepreneurship and everything, like my previous position, I was a corporate trainer for Apple through a third party company, right? So
Mhm.
I trained all the Apple advisors, right? And part of being able to be promoted as a trainer and like move up in like the career path and everything was you eventually had to create your own learning material and everything like just off the dome. So I was pretty
Mhm.
good at it. So, and it's like I actually enjoyed that position, not the part about having to be responsible for like 20 people, either passing or failing training, not that part, hated that part. But like as far as explaining Apple's policies, procedures, product knowledge,
Mhm.
et cetera, and putting it in my own words so that different learning styles and everything could understand what was expected of them. Oh yeah, I can do that all day.
Yep, exactly. And that is exactly like I said, a 100K job. If you are maybe not a writer, maybe you're not good with words and grammar and stuff. Well, you know, you can use, you know, AIs for grammar. But let's just say you don't really care to write or any of that. You can, if you're artsy, you can do something like digital commercials. I have one, well, I did have one on my site. I use this software called Doodly, and basically you create like doodles, it's like, you know, for commercials, and it's basically it's like a tech writing scenario, but more in a, you know, visual type way, in a animated commercial type way. You know, the software cost me $100 and the pieces are like, you know, depending on what pieces I want, like 40 bucks or so comes with like a whole collection of, different types of animated characters, but it's literally plug and play. And that right there is 100K as well. Like, like this is things that I've done, and I could personally let you know that, hey, these are money. It's just I don't have the time to do it all, to learn it. I specifically only want to learn what I want to learn. I kind of, spoiled myself with that. Like, I only want to do what I want to do. And I feel like I can, because I mean, the world is open. So I only want to deal with blockchain, and I'm dealing with, as far as apps, because I want to create my own app. That's where my head is at. So, there's definitely money out here in realms that, I could definitely pick up. But I think that, again, I just want to do stuff that I'm into. And I want you guys to be the same way. Like, have your, keep your foot stern on what interests you. Don't force yourself because you see that, they're paying 250,000 over here. Because I'm gonna let you know this now, all money is not good money. I was on a contract, $100 an hour, worst contract ever. I would never work there if they gave me a $200 an hour. They were terrible, and I mean, it was nice because, I didn't really have to do much, but I just didn't like the culture. And I don't like to be, stressed or making it feel like, damn, am I going to get fired, or are they looking at my work? Like, I don't like to feel that way, so if I can't be chill and laid back, then I don't want to do it. I don't care if it's $1 million. I'm on my Kanye stuff. So
I also want to say this too, like, so when it comes to picking a job, like right now, my main 9 to 5, and I'm not sure if anyone else in this class is dealing with this, but my 9 to 5 is not something that I have a passion for right now. And I'm also not getting paid
You're
that
not the only one.
Okay, so you guys feel me. So it's like I'm willing to bring my tech strengths that I learned to a company and help them grow in whatever way they need assistance, just so that I can contribute to their company and learn something at the same time. And then also one thing that I've learned too is that I hear a lot of people say in the tech space that it's good to get like a new job every year and a half in the beginning, so you can have that experience stacked up. So I'm also considering doing that, but I'm willing to kind of do something I'm not super, super passionate about, but that I'm good at just for a little bit, right? Like with the level of consistency and showing up in a good spirit to make sure that I'm not bringing a low energy to the company that I'm with. But like, I'm willing to do that in the beginning for a decent pay, because I'm on that right now for less. You feel me?
Yeah. Are you in? Or do you have a tech job, or what do you do for work?
I do not have a tech job. So my main job right now is I'm a medical courier. So I transport, I'm an independent contractor. I have a contract with a big health system out here. And I essentially just transport medical equipment and medical, what do you call it? Specimens.
Interesting.
So it's a brain-free job.
Yes.
I only do brain-free jobs when I'm not making that much money. Like, I'm not about to give you my brain.
Right. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so that's what I do now. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm willing to do something that I'm not super duper passionate about, but something that I know I can be good at, just so I can get my foot in the door and start feeling my way around.
Okay. So you're looking at jobs titles that maybe say like network administrator. I mean, yeah, since you're getting a CCNA, you can always go for engineer positions, but without a CCNA and just this knowledge, maybe a couple certs from like Udemy or Coursera or something, you would look at, data analyst jobs. You would probably network admin, something with an analyst, something with an admin. Sometimes they do put engineer in there just to spice things up, but you kind of can't really apply to the jobs based off of, that job aid. You kind of, or I'm not gonna say job aid, but that title. You kind of have to look at the job aid, see if it's the duties that you like, are you comfortable with? Because they'll say, running reports here or doing tests here, and they may put a technology. Who cares about what the technology is? Do you want to run reports all day? Okay, yeah, I don't mind sitting at my computer running reports. So just apply to that job, because a lot of my jobs, I didn't even see the job aid. I just, a lot of times they just saw my resume and then they sent me the job aid right before the interview, and I'm like, I don't have none of these skills, but yet they still hire me. So a lot of times it's about how do you speak in the interview? How are you? Are you personable? What they're looking for is they're not looking for nerds. They're not looking for people who are the know-it-alls or who's so technically inclined. They're looking for people who have tech knowledge, but also can be personable, also can talk, you know, and that was my challenge at first, because I don't care about all that, you know, but in order to get that, you know, high paying job, I kind of have to, you know what I'm saying, be a little more friendly in my interviews, a little more, I wouldn't say talkative, because, you know, you can, you know, bite your own tongue, but you can talk to things to where they like, I like where you're going with this, or I like how your mind is thinking. And then regardless of what's going on, they're going to hire you. So I would say analyst, administrator, like system administrator. Hey, you can do my job, system engineer. Let me see, what's the requirements?
Yeah, because if they're remote, I can stack them. And then if it's something dealing with like my brain, where I have to use my brain and there's math and science and computer involved, I'm going to be excited either way.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna start. I know I've been kind of slacking, but I'm gonna still continue putting in jobs into the chat. Because you know, you guys can definitely take a lot of these jobs, a lot of these check jobs, just at least to transfer yourself into something that is, like I said, remote at home. They give you a computer and you're literally just what we call is ticket turning. That's what we call it. And you're going through tickets, and you know, there's levels to it, because help desk may get a ticket that says something about their computer, but as a system admin, you may get a ticket that says, hey, I need access to Microsoft Word, right? And because you're a system administrator, you administer systems, you look into their, you know, permissions and make sure they can get it, and then you just put their name in the system and boom, they have it, right? And that's literally what I do all day, every day. So, you know, they pay a lot for that, but they just want you to have the foundational knowledge of networking. Because in my interview, we talked about personality, we talked about, you know, it wasn't tech at all, but they did throw in a question like, so what's RTP? You know, like, and I'm like, that's what you gonna throw in? Now, you know, just I'm giving y'all the juices of the gems, but for me, when I take my interviews, I'm still Googling, you know, I'm sitting pretty and smiling, and I have my other screen up here ready to Google, because a lot of times, you know, I get flustered, I have anxiety, and I may know the answer, but it may not spew out from my head. So I Google, and then I say, hey, you know, and I read from Google, or it, you know, comes back to me what, you know, that RTP is, which is real-time protocol. So it'll come back to me, and then I'm able to be like, oh, okay, what's real-time protocol? It deals with, you know, voice traffic. And then I'll probably deflect and be like, yeah, one time on this contract, I was dealing with this one issue. And they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. So and I'll give y'all the tea on that as well. But most of the time, it's just getting the interview. So learn this foundational stuff. So when they ask you, like, they may ask you, yeah, so what's the difference between a Ethernet cable and a fiber cable? Or what's the transmission? What's the difference between UDP and TCP? Like they'll just probably just throw out some random stuff like this. And if you can't even answer that foundational stuff, they kind of don't even care anymore, because it's like, so if anything pops up, you don't even know where to start, because you don't even know the OSI model, you know? And that's a T too, like the OSI model, if you really can, you know, at least understand that, I'm telling you, that's gold. There's people 5-6 years went to school for computer science and can't tell you the OSI model. Why? I don't know. I really don't.
I was told that by a computer science professor that I ran into at a coffee shop. And he asked me, I told him I was in your course, and he was like, can you do me a favor? Can you tell me how information gets from, let's say, a computer in Washington, D.C., how does the email get from that computer to the computer all the way in California? And this was in the CCNA course that you did last semester. And I was able to kind of get it, but he was actually still kind of impressed. He was like, actually, that's not too bad. I was missing like one thing. I think it was this, I switched the switch in the router with the like where the information goes through first. But he was saying that a lot of people don't know that information when they get on the job.
Yeah.
after they get a 4-year degree in computer science.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, why don't you know that? I thought that this is all you're supposed to learn, right?
Right.
I have no clue. You know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you learn more other stuff. Maybe you learn code. I don't know. Don't get me to lying. But
So we
but
can apply
yeah.
for these network jobs while we are studying. So that way the information is like fresh on our brain. So if we do get an interview, it actually might be easier to catch their attention because the knowledge is kind of fresh on our brain right now, right?
Exactly. Yes. Like what I said, every day you should be studying this stuff. Since you've already taken the course, you definitely can start applying now for just basic networking jobs. Once we get to probably like day 6, you guys can really just start applying to jobs for real. Like, cause it's all, you know what I'm saying? I hate to say it this way, but it's really just finessing. Like, they don't really care. Like, you could be the brainiac, you can know all of this and just spew it all in the interview, and they be like, we still don't care. Like, and that's just the way of the world. Like, they picky and they choose, and maybe, you know, saying they wasn't feeling you because whatever the case may be, you know how it go. So you have to just be able to finesse your way into certain rooms, and then finesse your work. You know, do the work. But if you're actually passionate about it, then you're going to learn and you're going to do a good job. You know, you're not just gonna be like, oh, now I got the salary, now I'm just gonna chill. Yeah, and they're gonna let you go. So, you know, but yes, definitely start applying. I love Dice and I think Career Builder or something. That's where I got my last 2 jobs.
Okay.
Well,
But
it's
I
all
would-
about dice. You're gonna get hit up by Ahmed. Like, hello, is Gavin? I'm calling about a job opportunity. So be ready for that.
That is so true. They will spam you. However, if you're looking for a job, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I definitely got, you know, the job I'm in right now, I got that from Dice. And it was so quick and I was so grateful. But look at things like this. Let's go to remote only. Because I only apply to remote only jobs. I don't care. There's one job that was like, yeah, we're gonna give you $120 an hour. And I'm like, yeah, you know, everything was good. And it's like, but it's on site. And it's like, but we're down the street from you, you know. And I'm like, I don't care. I refuse to go in the
Nah,
office.
fam.
I refuse.
I work at a help
Refuse.
desk now at a historically Black college, and I'm looking to go remote.
Yes, and for me, I trade, so it's impossible to just go to a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 job, going in my car, driving. Like, I have to be ready at 8:30 to do what I need to do. Like, that's, you know, how I make some money. And then I run a business, so they're gonna be like, who you on the phone with? Like, they gonna just be all up in my business. And I just feel like that would, you know, so I wouldn't progress my life that way. And that's a lot of reasons too why it's like, if I'm not finding a job that I want for the pay I want, you know, I go do freelance stuff. Like, you know, not too long ago, I just was doing Lyft, you know, because I just refuse to just do something I don't want to do for the sake of money. Like, I can get money anyway, you know, whether outside of trading, like I said, Lyft, I do little gigs, I have freelance. So I am on Upwork. So if you guys want to hire me, but I am on Upwork. So I, you know, I build websites for folks. I do marketing. I do a little bit of everything to supplement, to ensure that I keep this, you know, 6 figures. And that's kind of what I want you guys to do as well, like supplement your income. Don't just bank on one job to give you 6 figures. Get like a 80, 90K job. Hey, get a 70K job. And then 30K, you know, get it in other ways of technology. And there's so many ways. But let's just see here. We have network administrator. What I like to look at is, when was it updated? Because I see it was posted. That's way too long. Y'all probably ain't even looking at stuff. But updated within less than a day, you know, they thirsty. So let's take a look. Network admin. Oh, they 80, 90, 100% remote. You know, and they talk about, you got to have a bachelor's degree in computer science or equivalent experience. They always gonna say or equivalent experience because, you know, I don't have a degree at all. You know, I tried to go to school twice and it did not work. So, you know, they don't care about no degree, but they do want to know about experience. And that's why I say do things to do projects to put on your resume. Like, if you even want to do a project for me, because I am a legitimate company, then, you know, put my company on your resume because you did whatever you did. I don't know. We can make some stuff up, honestly. But yeah, so experience with VPN, cloud, DHCP, you know, these are all things that, we kind of just talked about, right? You kind of know what cloud is. We talked about that. VPNs, right? That's outside of the LANs and the WANs. DHCP, we ain't get there. OSPF, that's a routing protocol. You know, IPsec, you know, that security based, that's built in on the IP address. I think I might apply for this, John. You know, so, and then this is CCNP software systems. I don't know what they're talking about here. But this is everything that I teach you guys right here. Well, maybe not the bachelor's degree, but you got it. Debugging and scripting, we're gonna do some of that. So this looks like a job that you can do, Elle. I would apply to this one if I was you, you know?
Okay.
Put these technologies in your resume somehow, like a job that you dealt with. Say like, you know, you were supporting, we'll work on it. We'll talk. We're gonna put like you support remote access VPN, you know, something that you can, you know, we probably, even if you want to do hands-on experience, we could, you know, open a sandbox and work on these technologies.
Yeah, I would love some hands-on experience, because if not, I'm gonna be like, dang, I'm hardcore lying on this one.
but seriously, it's like the same thing over and over again. It's just different softwares. So when they talk about VPN, you're helping people on VPN, it's literally the same like troubleshooting stuff. I could say like, yeah, you know, sign out, sign in, power off, power on. We kind of look with the security team. I always give that, you know, thing in my interview. I'm like, yeah, VPN, yeah, it was something wrong. I just contacted the security team and they kind of helped us out with opening some connections that were closed. And they was like, oh yeah. And then, you know, move on. But regardless, apply to this. You know, let me go ahead and put this link here for you. You know, y'all can apply. I think this is good for anyone who previously took my CCNA course. This is right up your alley, and it's 80K. Like, you know, and then put me as a reference. Like when they say, you got somebody we can validate, tell me. Say, hey, I'm gonna put you on the reference, put my name, put the business, put whatever position you worked or whatever. And you know, we're gonna get you a job. Let's see what this. Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help y'all get into a job, however, how that may look. Okay. Oh, candidates must be in Tennessee, but
Wait, what? Wait, look up Tennessee.
Yeah, but they got a whole bunch of stuff that we ain't talked about, you know. Yeah, they keep talking about deploying, you know, scope of security tools. Yeah, we ain't that far in. Strong experience with deploying, managing one of the following aggregators, NetFlow. We can probably deal with NetFlow. We can probably, you know, Firepower, that's just a security it's a router. Yeah, this is probably not, you know, we don't go that far into security, but you know, if something like this interests you, they don't even have a salary here, so they already suspect. But if this interests you, you know, what I like to do, if this was like, if I was like into security and this is kind of what I want, especially it being remote, I would take some of these acronyms and start Googling them and seeing how I could put them on my resume. And if it's too much to put on my resume, then I'm just gonna go on to the next job, because don't get too caught up, because you're gonna do all this for what? Let me see, network monitoring. I don't know what they got going on. Oh, they ain't even got that many for network administrator. Let's do a good one is let me go back. A good one is help desk. Now there's levels to help desk, y'all, because I feel like what I do is help desk. But there's levels to it. You can do, oh yeah, I was applying for somebody. Oh, hold on. Let me look at this.
Oh.
Oh yeah, you got to go to their website to apply. But I could put this in here too. Can I go to view? Yeah, you gotta go to their website and fill out an application. And I don't like to do all that, you know. I just be feeling like if I just can't submit this resume, I'm kind of lazy. That's probably why I ain't got another job, because I'm lazy with it. If you make me go and fill out this freaking profile and I'll submit my resume, that's just too much out my day. But you know, if you would need, you know, you had that. But this is good. Junior help desk. Let's talk about junior help desk. Hold on, can we go back?
I'm feeling robbed right now because I'm thinking, like, I'm listening to what you're saying, like some of these roles require, and I'm just like, I was doing all that, but on top of being a trainer, they had us doing all the back end stuff. Like if people had problems with getting into their VPN, we were able to go into the system and get them in and all that. Like when we had to upload all of our new agents after they finished training, we were the ones that had to go and upload them into all of the systems on the back end. Like we had to do all that stuff. And we only had a trainer's title, but we were doing systems admin stuff, like even with their schedules and everything, like changing schedules, adding to the schedule, like all of that, adjusting like pay for like overtime. They had us doing that. I was about to
Yeah.
curse. They had us
Man,
doing all of that. And
I
I'm
feel
doing
robbed
all
too.
for $20 an hour, bro. Like, no, I feel so robbed right now. I'm about to go update my resume. 'Cause
Me
no.
too. Because
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I work at I'm a senior help desk. That's my title. But all of what I do is basically this stuff, what you're saying. Like there's some and the crazy part about it, the guy that's why just the first class it really just rung a bell. Like he lives all the way out in Virginia and he's like the system admin for the entire college. And
Mm.
he's basically all he's doing is just on the back end with this stuff. And a lot of the stuff that he does, we do anyway, like going into the back end of uh checking somebody's permissions, going in the AD and the Active Directory, seeing if they're enrolled as in the right groups or is their account disabled. The back end of Teams, dealing with the cloud stuff. So yeah, I'm looking at this like,
Yeah, that's kind of exactly how it is. How I look at it as is, you know, when you're in like a low level position, when they only going to pay you, you know, under 50K, they're going to work you like a dog. But when you start getting more money, they start lessening stuff. Unless you're a senior, that's when you got to start doing stuff. But it's still not that bad, you know. So if you guys saw what I did at work, y'all would be so upset. You'd be like, "What the freak?" And you need a CCNA for this. Like, no, you don't, but it's just the way the game is, you know, and it's all about just rubbing elbows. Like, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to be on this path had I not been able to rub elbows with a staffing agency. They were able to put me on into a lot of these big companies to where now I have the experience to go out and be like, oh, I can get my own interview because, you know, I don't know. I think I told you guys, I think I told my last class this, but the staffing agency that I was with, they were like a technology company that you know, they taught me the whole finesse game. Like they took my interviews for me, they did my whole resume. Sometimes I didn't even communicate with the client. They just told me like, okay, your first day is this, you know, and it was like, dang, how they know what I know what to do. You know, and I'll just show up as the senior network engineer doing senior network engineer stuff, you know, but of course I had to literally like, you know, split my pay 50-50, which is not good, but it's still, you know, more than I was ever making. So
yeah, and like you said, it's about the finesse. So they walk away with a portion of your salary, but at the same time, you got that experience, and then you do that for 6 months to the year. Oh, that's on the resume. Let's
yep,
go on to you know what I'm saying? So I
yep,
would gladly take a position like that because I know about 6 months to a year, I'm gonna throw the deuces on y'all, and then I'm gonna turn around and you know what I'm saying? So
exactly. And that's exactly what you do. That's what I did. You know, my first contract was literally $25 an hour as a senior network engineer because I had to split like 75% of my pay the first contract. And once you know, I messed up, made the network go down. They was mad, but I learned, you know, and they didn't want to renew. The contract was like 3 months, and that was fine. That was okay with me because you know, F them. And when I, you know, just from that 3 months experience alone, I went and got my own job, you know, that my own interview and everything for double that. You know, I was at $40 an hour with less than, you know, 4 or 5 months of being in tech, like on the market being in tech. So that's why I'm like, shoot, thank you for teaching me the game. I'm about to go take this and run with it. And that's what I want you guys to do.
What was the name of the staffing agency that you went through that got your foot in the door?
Now, I wanted to wait until, that time because I have someone coming who's going from this group. Well, we'll see because she playing me. But, she's supposed to come from this group and tell y'all about the opportunities and how y'all can get on board. But this is the company, Ashton Technologies. I have 2 students that actually went to them. I don't know if they're going to be in this class, but one of the young ladies, she actually went to work for Meta. And the other lady, I don't know, she went and got her CCNA and I haven't heard from her. So she probably got her money and bounced. But I definitely know that one of them actually went to work for Meta. She didn't like working for Meta. She said Meta was like a slave factory. And I'm like, dang, I'm sorry. But guess what? That was her first tech job. She got experience and now, the sky's the limit for her. But yeah, Ashton Technologies, definitely put my name in there as a referral. I don't know if they're gonna give me some money or not, but that would be nice. So this place, I found them on Craigslist. You will not believe it. I found them on Craigslist and I was just looking for a $20 an hour job. And they was like, be a network engineer for $20 an hour. And to me, that was like a hell of a lot of money. So I signed up and they called me and told me, well, some of y'all know the story, but they called me and said, hey, you're gonna have to come to Minnesota for training. And I'm like, the fuck? But they pay for everything. They pay for my travel, my gas. If my car broke down, they pay for it. My hotel. If I was hungry, they gave me everything. But the thing about it is you have to train with them at their location. And they're only in Minnesota and one is in California. The young lady, one of my students, she went to the one in California. She said it was nice, but she didn't really care. And she said she didn't really like the environment. They were like, they weren't really that helpful in like helping her, learn the information. But Minnesota, oh, they helped me learn all of it. I even learned how to do, that's where I got my coding information from, because we would be building apps and stuff. So basically how the program goes is you go to their location, to their corporate office. They give you a hotel if you're a girl, they give you a house if you're a guy. And that's because all the guys live together. And then at the corporate building, you work 9 to 5 and you basically, it's like work study, right? Because you're studying how to be a network engineer, but essentially you're working. Now you don't get paid for this because they're paying for your hotel, they're paying for your food, they're paying for your gas. So you don't get a paycheck. You just show up and you learn for 4 weeks how to be a network engineer. Exactly what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you, well, they don't teach you as deep as what I'm teaching you, but it's good information. And after 4 weeks, you have to regurgitate the information, close the book, right? So you just got to stand in front of them in this like office and talk about some things. Basically, you're role playing. You're acting like as if you're a network engineer and they're going to ask you some things. I'm like, yeah, so my network's down and I can't get on the internet. What should I do? And you're going to go through the whole role playing scenario. And after about an hour or whenever it's done, they tell you if you passed or you didn't pass. Me, I didn't pass the first go. They let me go in 4 weeks. And I'm like, I came all the way to Minnesota to get turned around. But I'm never defeated, right? Resilience is my superpower. So I came back in like 2 weeks. I went and got my CCNA and was like, y'all not gonna catch me? And it was like, dang, you got your CCNA that quick? Like it takes people a year to get that. It took me 30 days. And they put me back in the program. I kind of skipped over a little bit of the like basic knowledge. And then, once you get accepted, you start having interviews. Now they take your interviews for you. That's the finesse game. So you just smile on camera and you you freaking lip sync while they're talking because the interviews are so intense. The interviews are like, how would I configure a DHCP v6 address? And it's like, who knows that off the top of their head? Like, come on, but they do because that's their job. And that's what they do for you. And then they get you your 6-figure job. The jobs are $500,000, like 600,000 a year, but they're going to take like 60% of that, Now, as a person who's been making $15, $20 an hour, that's love to be paid $40 an hour. You know what I'm saying? But when you know your worth, you realize like, I mean, I could just go get this $200,000 job myself, right? So that's what I'm on. That's the path that I'm on. I broke through them like last year, 2 years ago. I've only been on this journey for like 2.5 years, almost 3 years now. So I haven't been with them almost 2 years. Yep, it's only been 1 year because I got my second job myself and they tried to give me a third job and it just wasn't working. Like, they had me on a bench for a long time. It was just a lot going on. And that's probably because of me, because I already had a job. So I was like, I don't give a fuck. But they help you. I'm not gonna say anything bad about them. If you want to go to them, definitely let them know I sent you. I'm cool with them. I still talk to a lot of these employees, and I've made a lot of friendships. That's really why I even came to Houston, Texas, is because a lot of my colleagues were from Texas. We all just linked up in Minnesota, and it was like, Texas is nice, you should come. And I came down, and and I always have a network. Like I have recruiters now, I have coders, I have so many people in my, circle because of this one place that even though they took like 60, 70% of my check, though the knowledge that I got from this was just, invaluable, right? So yeah, definitely, that sounds like an ad for them. But definitely choose if you want to be a network engineer or you want to be a full stack web developer. They will literally teach you. My resume said that I worked in the kitchen. All my jobs were in kitchen based. So the fact that they was like, yeah, you could be a network engineer. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm making cupcakes. But hey, they believed in me. So I would say come here, Ashton. I'm gonna put this in the chat. So for everybody else. Yep. It's not bad. It's hard work. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. It is hard work. They not like me. They just, they just black and white with it, They're not gonna make it interesting. They're not gonna make the information fun. They're gonna, say it's gonna be just this fast. And you see, must be open to 100% travel. I went to Chicago on their dime. I went to Rhode Island on their dime. I went to, what other place did I go? I went to a lot of the other states. I can't think. I just can think of only Chicago and Rhode Island right now. But yeah, so yeah, you got to include nationwide. They will, and they pay for travel. You go wherever you want to go, wherever the contract is at. Look at this basic understanding of computer terminology. Come on, you need to take a drug test. You do, but I have ways around that too, y'all. You do have to have a car though. That's another thing. So if you ain't got no car or you can't, borrow a car, it ain't gonna work because they want you to have a car. Paid time, full day, lying. Training does not include no paid time. Who wrote this? But if they do pay, I wonder. Relocation assistance. Yep, in addition to training pay. Dang, they must be desperate. If I was y'all, I would sign up because they seem like they desperate. They paying and they doing relocation assistance.
How much
Remote training. They pay, I think $20 an hour. Well, I don't know. They changed it. $20 an hour. They probably, when I was there, if you didn't get the corporate housing, then they paid you hourly, which was minimum wage. So it's like in Minnesota, I think that was like $11 an hour at the time. This was in 2019. This when I started this program. 2019, late 2019. So I was involved in all that COVID stuff. So that's why my job's never been on site because my first contract is when COVID broke out. My first week, it was like, y'all may have to go home for a week. And then a week turned into a month, and then a month turned into the rest of my contract. And I've never been in an office. So I don't think I'm equipped to be in an office anyway. So yeah, let's see. Hands-on, one-on-one mentorship. Yeah, pay starts at $20. See, $20 now. That be the thing, because $20 ain't much, but $20 and you're able to, you get a $2,000 bonus. I might just earn up to $28 on your first year. Oh, and another thing is they up your pay every 3 months. You get $4. Every 4 months you get $4 increase. Like that is love, like, but they cap you out at 40. So you're gonna get that $4 an hour, at 28, well, starting at 20. And then every 4 months, if you show that, you're not just being lazy, they're gonna add $4. In another 4 months, they'll be like, so did you learn some stuff? You'd be like, yeah, add another $4 until you get to $40. And they're gonna be like, all right, I ain't paying you no more. But this is a stepping stone. You're not supposed to use this as your career. So forget all this health benefits. I ain't signed up for none of this. Certification reimbursement. They did pay for my CCNA when I got it. They said, hey, let me see your receipt. And they gave me that I think it was $350. Give me that $350 back. And then, traveling, receive up to, they gave me $1,100 a month. This is, now I can attest to all these perks, okay? They literally gave me $1,000 or $1,100. They gave me like, $550 or something every 2 weeks for food and gas money, Yep. And then hotel living was good at first, but I hated it because it's small and it's just like, ugh. But they put you in some okay hotels where they have free breakfast, so that's the thing. But yeah, that's it. Did I post this in the Discord? Yeah, y'all apply to this. Everybody needs to apply. I think every single person should apply, and at least if you can travel, if you can afford to take 6 months, to go to Minnesota and just learn for free. I don't know how to explain it, but if you can take this opportunity, I would say go for it. Like this is just me reading this. I'm like, dang, that's what I was doing. But when you get in it and you start knowing your worth and you start accumulating stuff, you start saying like, this some BS. This is just marketing propaganda.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off. I went through a similar company and I failed my interview. But after watching several videos of people like yourself who went through the program, everyone kind of pretty much said, yeah, it's a great program, but if you can do it on your own, you can put yourself in a better position financially sooner.
Yeah. And it's all a mindset thing, it's all about like, what are you doing? Like I didn't even know what I was doing when I started this. Like, what is a network engineer? Like I had to Google that, like, what is a network, right? So I honestly had no clue what I was even getting myself into. But once they gave me the game, it was like, I can do this on my own, like, thank you for the game. I appreciate it. What I'm saying? I'm not going to speak bad. Y'all gave this game to me, but I can go on my own. Like if I'm literally doing a job that really pays $300,000 a year, I'm doing it, not them. Yes, they help me with the interview, but I'm the one that's performing the duties. I'm the one in the meeting. They don't know anything about this company, right? They just know it's me. Then I can do this on my own. I can at least do half. I can at least do 150 on my own, right? And it's all about your mindset. Like, are you determined to get that, to be that successful, whatever that may look like? For me, I had nowhere else to turn. I made a lot of bad financial decisions in my business. I ended up, ending my lease. I couldn't afford my, downtown apartment anymore. Like it was tough financially, even to the point where they kicked me out. I had to sleep in my car because I couldn't go back to, where I was, which was Atlanta, because I sold my apartment. I sold all my things. Like, what am I going back to? Wow. So yeah, so I had no choice. I literally stayed in Minnesota for like a week to figure out like, what hell should I do? Should I go get a job? Should I go to school? Like I was so confused. And good thing I have some people in my circle that's like, go get your CCNA and get back in that course. And it's like, but who cares? But they pushed me. I got my CCNA. Same day, I'm like, hey, I'm back in. And they're like, yeah. So it took me 30 days. I was in my car for 30 days and I did Lyft, right? So I was out here hustling, grinding because I had nothing else. I had nowhere to go. And I feel like because of my mindset and because I had, my back was against the wall, like what else? There's nowhere but up from here. So I feel like that's what, gave me that willpower to do what I'm doing now. So I really think it's, you know, what is that why for y'all, you know? And I feel like that's what's gonna push you to get the money, wherever that money may look like, you know? Cause your girl was down and out. You know, that's why I go so hard in my story, because I was literally like in the kitchen, like, you know how much kitchen, they think $7 an hour, you know? So when I transitioned to like call center behavior, making, you know, 12 and 13, I thought I was living the dream, you know? And to be able to really see money and then have money be gone. And then it's like, you know, because they were dangling this all in my face, like, this is nice, right? But for them to be like, no, you can't do the program anymore because, you know, you don't know the information fast enough. It's like, dang, you hit me in the gut. And I gave up everything for this. Like I put all my eggs in one basket, which was good for me because it showed me how strong I was. You know, I didn't know I was this strong, honestly. So I think that you guys should figure out your why so you can get that same strength and just be unstoppable. Because at this point, you know, unless I want to, there's no way nobody is paying me under 100K. Like, I don't care what it is. If you ain't talking 6 figures, don't talk to me. I don't even want to have an interview. I'm not even finna send you my resume. When they talk to me, I'll be like, what's the position? And then on top of that, if it's a staffing agency, how much is your percentage? And if that's the case, I'm gonna need more. You know, I'm gonna need something, but you ain't finna get me for no, I ain't finna work under that, you know? So yeah, that's my rant. Hopefully you guys can apply to this. We'll look at more jobs. I don't want to get too ingrained, but we're gonna look at jobs. We're gonna apply together to like 3 days in a row. We're gonna just apply to jobs together, and hopefully somebody gets something so we can, you know, get some momentum. But yeah, I'm about to stop sharing because I'm done. Anybody have any questions, comments? Y'all want to talk about something? Because I felt like I was just ranting and raving.
Oh no, you wasn't ranting and raving. You was speaking to my soul. I'm like, yes. But I was on mute, so you couldn't hear me. So it seemed like you were talking to yourself. But oh no, I'm right there with you.
Now you were dropping game, a lot of game. Like I feel so valued taking this class, and it's just the 3rd class. So straight up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, we about to get crazy in here. And like I said, the whole mission is just to get a tech job. I want every one of y'all to be in a tech job, whether it's, you know, even if you may be in cybersecurity, you may get a, you know, a help desk job, but the point of it is to have more income. So you may be at help desk doing technician stuff, but let's get you to that layer, that level 3 help desk, to where maybe you're a system analyst, or like myself, a system engineer, to where you're still turning tickets, but you're turning tickets for, you know, 6 figures, or at least 80K, right? Because the staffing agency is gonna take their cut, which whatever, let them. But yeah, so again, that's the whole mission. We're gonna get jobs by the end of this 6 weeks. You know, if you ain't got a job by now, that's just my #1 mission every day, is to make sure that you are in a tech job. And then we'll grow from there. Once you get one tech job, it's gonna be so easy to get the rest. So that's the mission for this class. Don't get too overwhelmed with the information. I'm here as a resource. I have other resources outside of me. Reach out in Discord, okay? So it's getting late. Maybe I'll put this whole video up. Maybe not. Maybe I'll condense it down. I don't know. But yeah, it'll be up, and then I'll make an announcement because I don't know where it'll be up at. So yeah, I'm out, y'all. If y'all out, if y'all good.
Yep,
Thank
I'm
you for
out. Good night,
everything.
everybody. Thank you again.
Thank you. Good night.
Very welcome, guys. Good night. See y'all tomorrow.
Night.
Night, night.
Night.
Good night, guys.